If it bugs you that your cabinets don't go all the way to the ceiling, or maybe you wish you had somewhere in your kitchen for some open shelves, I'll show you how I raised my hutch cabinet, added a shelf, and doubled my counter space. Now you may be thinking you can't raise your cabinets because then you would have to redo the backsplash too. In this video, I'll show you a solution that will allow you to raise your cabinets to the ceiling, add a shelf, and keep your existing backsplash if you want to. My last video I talked about ways to add charm and make your home feel custom, and one of the ways I was going to mention was having your cabinets go all the way to the ceiling like these do. And you know, I was looking at my hutch and thinking, gosh, that's a lot of wasted space up there, and there's about 12 inches of counter space that is getting wasted with this sitting right on top there. So if I raise it up, I can use that area below like a countertop or a buffet area, and that space will get filled in and not wasted anymore. So that's my plan, and I want it to look still like a built-in piece of furniture, so I'll be doing some things to make sure that happens. The first step in raising your cabinets to the ceiling is to remove everything from the cabinets, and then take off the cabinet doors. In my case, I also removed the drawers that were in my hutch. Next, score the caulked edges with a utility knife. Remove the trim. I used a flat scraper tool and tapped it in between the trim and cabinet using a hammer. Once it's fully separated, you can pry it off easily. Okay, so here's an update. I have scored along all that trim that went right here. I scored it and then I popped it out so I can get my fingers in there. I did that on both sides. I also scored around the sides of that cove mold at the top, but I haven't pulled it off because I think it can maybe stay attached. And then I've scored with the utility knife all down here at the bottom. I've removed, there were some screws holding it up way up in the corner. Remove those. So I think it's just a matter of prying it free. So we'll see how that goes. Then locate and remove all the screws holding the cabinet in place. Have helpers to support and gently lower the cabinet to the ground. Or if you are ready, they can just lift it to the ceiling to be screwed into a stud up high. In the case of my hutch, I wanted to add some character to the back of my hutch because it has glass doors, and I wanted the whole section of cabinetry to look like a cohesive built-in. Adding these vertical planks will tie it all together and give it some added charm. I drew on the wall to help me visualize some design ideas. You may see I was, and still am, trying to decide if I should add some shaker pegs to the rail below the shelf. Let me know in the comments if you think I should add the pegs. I added the vertical planks to my wall because I didn't have an existing backsplash here. This is a cheap and easy way to create a shiplap look. I used a 1x8 inch thick 4x8 sheet of high density fiberboard. It's like the stuff pegboard is made out of, but without the holes. I cut it lengthwise into 5-inch strips and then cut the strips to the length that I needed. I used construction adhesive and a couple of finish nails to attach the strips. Once painted, you'd never know it's not 1/2-inch thick shiplap. If you have an existing backsplash, your shelf will go at the top of the backsplash. You can use wooden corbels or brackets like the ones I used in my pantry makeover, which is linked in the top corner, or you could use a floating shelf style which has no brackets. I used 2 small scraps of 2x12 and cut a profile into it using a jigsaw. These go from the top of the counter to the bottom of the now raised cabinet. Then I used a piece of 1x6 vertically attached to those to support the small shelf below the cabinets. I made my shelf using 1x8 cut to length. The height between the shelf and the bottom of the cabinet may be different for you and taller than mine. You may even have space for 2 shelves. Keep in mind that your cabinet will now be higher up and you'll probably want to store lesser used items in them and the more often used items on the shelf. If you plan to store plates on your shelf, make sure your shelf is deep enough to do so. I plan to store bowls and other small decorative items, so I made mine less deep. And lastly, we're going to add the trim back on, called paint. Put the stuff back in the cabinets and put the cabinet doors back on. This project could probably be done in a weekend. Here are some ways that I've decorated this area since I finished. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell so that you get notified whenever I post new videos. If you'd like to see more of my home or more of my tips, be sure to check out the rest of my channel. If you'd like more information about my home or my floor plans, you can find them on my website, which I'll link below in the description.